Daniel De Schryver, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm together with you and Lynda from RxPX, and I'd love to ask you a few questions. My first one is about innovation and what are the biggest barriers to innovating with patients today?
That's a very complex question. Honestly, the barriers are, if you want to innovate with patients, the barriers are, can we find patients that have enough expertise also to help us in defining what the solution should be? You need patients to talk about their disease, obviously. They need patients to talk about what they need and expect in life. But you also need patients to understand how one can develop solutions that better fit their needs. So the understanding, I think, is maybe not the biggest barrier, but it may become a big barrier because there is more and more specific innovation, very high tech, and we need people to understand it to be able to help us to bring that better solution to life.
Finding patients is obviously one thing, but how do we work with patients as peers? How do we work with them as experts as opposed to, you know, I have a friend who stood up and said, I'm sick of patient centricity, and she is normally defined as a patient herself because she felt like she was a little bit of almost like a zoo animal being observed all the time, but never really part of the decision-making conversation.
No,
How do we change that?
I think the word is actually partnership, and partnership means that you are going to work with patients, representatives, experts, patient organizations in a very long-term mode. You're going to be in the boat for many years. You're going to look at a whole therapeutic area, a whole disease area, and that means you're going to start early on, but you will continue to talk with them in a very open manner. And then it's not the patients being observed, it's the patient sitting at the chair at the table and discussing with you, where are we going in the future? What are we going to do next? I think that's the way you should be working with patients.
Are you really achieving that at J&J today, would you say?
Let's say we're on a path in achieving it. I think in some areas we have, because we have been there for a long time and we have a very long-term relationship with patients who know us and who know what is coming and who are discussing this with us. Do we achieve it at 100% all the time? No, probably not. Again, we are trying. This is our aim. And I would say we're a big company. There is many people here doing their best to get innovation to patients. And so sometimes they're a bit pushed by urgency, pushed by many other things on their agenda, and they may sometimes oversee things. But I believe that we have the processes in place, we have the ways of doing it, and we have tons of examples of how we did it well. So if I would put a percentage on it, let's say we're achieving it 70%. We're not at 100% yet, but we're on our way.
And Lynda, I would love to get your perspective on this same question. What's the barrier that's stopping us innovating more with patients?
Yeah, it is a deep question. And I think building off a lot of what Danielle is saying, it is that partnership. And we really look at it every single deployment we do. We start with patients and a patient advisory board, and really looking at what are the jobs that we can support the patients in doing, because so often, in addition to managing diagnosis or a condition, we're asking patients to do all these other jobs as well. And so we really look at what are the jobs that we could help you support and where technology is suited to support, because technology is not suited to support everything. And so we always look at a hybrid solution of technology and humans, AI and humans. And what are the jobs that we can truly help support or even take off the plate of a patient to make their lives lighter, easier, and then making sure that we're kind of contextualizing it in a way that makes sense to them. And so we often use almost like a scaffolding approach, where we'll talk with them about the apps that they are using, or where they are getting their information, or where they are getting their support, or the jobs that they need to do. And then we'll look at those other those other means, whether it is an app or online or through a clinic visit, and we'll try to build in patterns and behaviors that are familiar to them. So that cognitive load isn't additionally, introducing a technology that is going to also introduce a cognitive load. We're trying to reduce that, right, to make it easier, and certainly to take some of those jobs off their plate as they are managing what is sometimes a lifetime condition, a lifetime diagnosis.
Yeah. I love the holistic way that you approach that question. I appreciate it. Let's talk about leadership for a second. And Daniel, I'm going to describe you as a leader. I hope that's comfortable with you. And I would ask you, therefore, what's your leadership style? And does that help drive the change that you need to see, do you believe?
Yes, I think my leadership is connecting. My leadership style is connecting people, and I believe you need to understand what's in it for someone. Why is it important that he or she should be doing something? And I think I'm very good in connecting and bringing people together. The people who have seen what it brings, and the people who are still in doubt. And I think that is a good way for me to achieve the change management I'm looking at.
Lynda, same to you.
Yeah, I too am a connector, so I think Daniel and I share that in common, absolutely. And I think with the change that we're trying to make, like Daniel, I don't know that I've met anyone that has as much experience in putting that patient experience first as you do. And so I think there's an aspect of tenacity in our leadership. So certainly being connectors, but having the tenaciousness to keep striving to do better, to say, no, we can make this better, we can do things differently, I think is an important aspect of likely what both Daniel and I are bringing to the situation.
I love Lynda's word tenacity. I sometimes introduce myself as a broken record because I'm coming with the same old message again. So that's why also I need that connection. I need external people, external experts sometimes to say the same. I had a discussion with KPMG. I said, please, you guys talk about it because they've heard me saying this a lot. And of course, the more you repeat, the less influential you could become potentially. So I need, again, connection with other people to say all saying the same to convince the other leaders of the company.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, it's the putting the patient at the center. I mean, we've been talking about it for years and years, and we're starting to see the results of that. But it's you have to keep sharing that vision and mission. I think that's maybe one of the hardest things for leaders is you have to bring everyone along, and that means you do need to repeat yourself a lot, and you have to push, for things to change.
Absolutely. You have to be comfortable to be a broken record. I want to ask you, as one has to in every conversation nowadays, I want to ask you about the role of AI and the role of data in patient engagement. And, we've been gathering data for quite some time now, and we definitely have strong ambitions to use the technology more. What are the barriers to allowing us to adopt it further and quicker than we are doing currently?
Oh, I would put it differently. I'm not so sure there are so many barriers. I think it's becoming something that is embraced more readily now. What I would say is there is different elements of AI, and it's always about data. You could, of course, ask AI to give me an oversight of what is the unmet medical need in a certain patient population. I think where we should be very careful is that you do not build partnerships with AI. You need to make sure that you may look at data and then check it with the human being, because the problem about exactly living with a disease and coping with it, you need a holistic view, and the holistic view is the person that can give it still much better than AI. So you need that corrective element to it. The second part for me is if we develop solutions together with patients, together with the individuals that are actually the end user of the solution. Let's not even use the word patient anymore. You're just end user of something. And for any other product, any other something, one would find it normal that as an end user you co-develop. So that this is new in pharma is just because we have a bizarre history, but honestly, we should be involving them. At that moment, if you want to live with a disease and a treatment, AI could offer so much more support to that end user. And of course, you could also get data because you provide support. It helps you to check and monitor how patients are doing, and that brings real world evidence directly to the payers. So I think we're sitting on a gold mine of possibilities, and there we're not using it fully. Why? Because the old system has been successful, and changing a successful system takes time. But I think we'll get there.
Lynda, as a technologist or geek, as you described yourself before we went live here, love to hear your view.
Well, we've been working in the area of AI for about 6 years, so it's something that we've embedded into the platform, especially around being a buddy to the patient. So I go back to what are those jobs that the patient needs to do, and can we make them easier, or can we actually do some of those jobs for the patient? So that's where we've really focused, is in having an AI buddy, a companion that can be an assistant basically to the patient throughout their journey. And I think it's really important when thinking about AI and thinking about technology, we often, as humans, tend to think of technology as not biased, as somehow agnostic. And it's not. Technology is very much biased. And so we need to think about the language models we're using, how we design it, who we're designing it for, and frankly, what problems are we solving? We're using AI to solve some pretty fluffy things right now. I think we should be focused on using AI to solve some of the biggest problems that we have facing humanity, and to be very conscientious about the bias that we could inadvertently bring into those large language models and the way that we design it.
Yeah, I would say as a patient, I've been on a treatment which is pretty harsh treatment, and I would have loved to have a chatbot as a companion when I was facing things that I would find a little bit bizarre. There was not much for me to do except calling my doctor, which caused the doctor to say, should we reduce the treatment length? Because it seems to be very hard to many of my patients, not particularly me. And I said, why would I reduce the treatment if the optimum outcome is if I do it 3 full years? So I think as an industry, we're missing opportunity probably by not fully embracing AI as a tool to support patients when they're on their journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And I would just build on that too, that, we can start thinking about citizen data. So, going back to that partnership with patients, if they're at the table, and if we're truly helping make their lives easier, then their role in contributing their data could help us advance and fast track, cures and therapies in a way that we haven't seen before. So I get really excited when I think about the citizen data and the patient contribution to this, that they're not just the end user, right? They are a participant in this.
Yes.
If you could change one thing about pharma regulations, or one regulation overnight, what do you think it would be?
I would enhance the voice of the patient, both at the regulatory, but definitely at the level of the payer.
Okay. Lynda?
I would try to change or expand MLR types of regulations that are sometimes inadvertently preventing really good information getting to patients.
Excellent answers. So, next question. What's the most exciting trend or initiative you're seeing in pharma today?
For me, the most interesting trend is really the increased engagement with patients. I think the industry is embracing this need to collaborate as partners with the end users of their solutions.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think how technology can help us engage with patients in a really meaningful way is one of the biggest changes we've seen.
What's one thing you wish pharma would stop doing immediately?
I would love pharma to stop thinking first healthcare professional. They should think first, who is going to use my product?
Lynda?
I would love to see pharma expand their innovation and their risk taking a little bit more in terms of using technology with patients.
Okay, one final one then. If you had to pick an industry outside of pharma that we could learn from, be inspired by, find solutions in, what industry do you think we should go looking in?
Oh, I would say it's probably the technology, from mobile phone to social media. It's all there. And I think we should be acting in a similar way to get closer to the person who is using these solutions.
I would agree. I think we've just made some incredible advances in technology, and COVID propelled a lot of that too. And I think we should learn from that. And there's a lot that we can use that's already existing. We don't have to build it from scratch.
Marvelous. Lynda, Daniel, I'm afraid we are out of time. I know time goes fast when you're having fun, and you and I both have another meeting to run to, Lynda.